Roadrunners Hall of Fame Class of 2024, Mitch McCarron. After Australian greats like Mark Worthington and Luke Kendall had made their marks in downtown Denver, it was time for Mitch McCarron to do the same with Metro State.
So Mitch was trying for the under-19 team, and he didn't make it, you know. So Damian called me and said, hey man, you want to get on this kid? So that's kind of how we found out about Mitch.
So Coach brought up recruits that he was bringing in often, almost as a little inspiration for guys to play a little bit harder, work a little bit harder. So he had brought up Mitch, and we had seen film on him, and we were very excited when we had an opportunity to come. And I want to say at the time he actually compared him to Luke Kendall.
However, McCarron had to sit for the first year with the Roadrunners, but showed the squad what was going to be in store for the following season.
He was a thorn in our side when all he was a practice player, because Coach would put him like, okay, he's this type of player today, and he would play exactly like that and then a little bit more some.
The hardest thing was just, and I tell people, you know, having him for a year and not being able to play is like having a fat ribeye steak that you can't eat. It's just there behind glass and you can't eat it, and you're just kind of foaming at the mouth. The thing about Mitch, and to his credit, is that he just seamlessly fit in the next year, you know, and that's who Mitch is. Mitch can just he can play a lot of different roles.
McCarron was ready to go for the 2012-2013 season and would average double figures and help the program reach the national championship game for the first time since 2002.
But Mitch doesn't have to have the ball in his hands and go get you 20 points to be effective. He can play a complementary role, which that first year he did, and I say that, and he still averaged double digits, you know, but we had a team that we found some harmony.
The Aussie could do it all. He is the program's 6th all-time point scorer, 7th all-time rebounder, and 7th all-time assist leader. It didn't matter what position McCarron played, he made everyone's job easier.
He was very selfless in the fact that he loved dishing the ball. He was one of my favorite guards, because just when you thought there's no way he sees me, all of a sudden the ball's in my hands and I'm right next to the hoop.
The 3-time All-Conference honoree carried the squad to the national semifinals in his junior season, but his role would change heading into his senior year after the departure of Brandon Jefferson.
And then the next year we needed him to score, you know, so hence he goes and, you know, gets 21 a night or something like that with Nick K. So, you know, he's just the kind of guy that can do whatever you ask him to do.
Again, he was a selfless player in the fact that he would do what the team needed him to do. That season, him and Nick kind of led the charge as far as all of our scoring went. On any given day, any team we played, him and Nick were probably the first and second best player on the floor. So they had to carry the load for the most part for that particular team.
Just like his fellow Aussie Mark Worthington, McCarron was named the National Player of the Year.
Now, when you talk about being Division II Player of the Year, we had a pretty good guy in the conference down at UCCS, Derek White, who obviously, you know, we see how that story ended up, and, you know, Mitch got the nod in a very close vote.
But his talents excelled off the court as well, earning multiple academic awards, including twice being named Academic All-American.
You know, you talk about the basketball accolades, look at what he did in the classroom, you know, being an All-American. You know, and it's funny because he came and had to sit a year. It didn't have anything to do with his abilities. That's part of the Hall of Fame thing, is not just the basketball part. We know what that is, but coming in here and, you know, adjusting to the culture and adding to the culture here, you know, and saying, hey man, it's just not just basketball.
During McCarron's time in the Mile High City, the Roadrunners won 3 RMAC regular season championships, 2 RMAC tournament championships, and 3 regional championships, to go along with beating the #1 team in the nation in West Liberty to reach the 2013 NCAA championship. McCarron would go on and play professionally in Australia and New Zealand after MSU Denver, but his time with the Roadrunners still resonates today.
One of the biggest things, you know, we know the talent and the physical part of it, but very humble, really humble guy, and I would say that's his #1 characteristic, and that's why his teammates gravitated towards him.
Mitch McCarron, Roadrunners Hall of Fame Class of 2024.
For those of you who don't know me, I'm Joe Quatrochi, and I've been a faculty member at MSU Denver now for a long, long time. Exercise and Sports Sciences Department is my area, and I'm a former faculty athletics rep to the NCAA, so I have a long association with athletics here at our institution. I'm really, really proud to say that Todd, Athletic Director Thurman, asked me if I would chair the Hall of Fame Selection Committee. So I'm really proud of that, and I'm really proud of the job that select committee, the members on that committee, they're who's who from Metro State Athletics. I think they knocked it out of the park this year with the recipients. So I just want to begin by congratulating the other recipients tonight, Coach Have and your staff and the entire 2010-2011 team, Coach Clark, just a very good friend and outstanding coach, Mark Worthington, who couldn't be here tonight, Luke, one of my favorites of all time, and of course, Mitch. So I just want to say to that class, you'll now be recognized forever among the giants who have passed through Metro State Athletics. It's a big deal. Speaking from the perspective of a 30-plus year faculty member and booster, I can tell you that most of the people, I know most of the people on that list of former inductees to the Hall of Fame. Some of the finest people I've ever met in my entire life are in this room and are among those inductees, and now you'll always be named with them. I'm really, really happy for you and proud of you, so congratulations to all of you. And now I'll make this quick, and I want to talk about my recipient tonight. I'm honored that Mitch asked me to be here. I won't reiterate all the incredible statistics that you saw, you read in the fine article that Rob White put together. You saw those on the screen in the video that Eric put together. Another first-rate job, both of you. Hats off. I'm not going to reiterate those. I want to talk about Mitch as a person. And Coach Dunlap started a mentor program when he arrived on campus and asked me to be one of those mentors. I'm very flattered for that. Paul Caesar was an original mentor, and Dr. Cheryl Norton was an original mentor. Peter is here. He was a mentor. You know, I wouldn't have this association with athletics if I wasn't asked to do that. I wouldn't have gotten to know the young men that I got to know, like Luke Kendall and Mitch McCarron. So I just want to talk about him as a person, and I want to talk about the fact that he's the epitome of a student athlete. He was in my department. He studied under one of my colleagues, Dr. Collis, who told me a lot about Mitch's leadership in the classroom. But I want you to think about something. Not only was he named as the NCAA Player of the Year when he was a senior, he was a two-time academic All-American. What more needs to be said? Student athlete. Caring, thoughtful, humble, focused, consistent. Those are the words that come to my mind when I think of this young man. Mitch, I know you'd love to have your family here tonight. I know, especially Abby. Sorry it wasn't possible, but I'm really happy for you that members of Abby's family are here to attend tonight and to honor you. Well, Coach Clark came to me before Mitch arrived on campus, and he said, Joe Q, I'd really like for you to mentor one of our new international players, as I had done so many times for Coach Dunlap. And he said, you know, I don't really know much about Mitch. I haven't really gotten to know him, but he comes highly recommended from someone I really respect, one of his coaches in Australia. He said, you know, we've got some wrinkles to iron out with the NCAA clearinghouse, but it should only take a short period of time, and I think he'll be on his way. Those wrinkles didn't get ironed out, as you might have heard in the video just a couple of minutes ago. Mitch played in a league in Australia that he thought was authorized by the NCAA, and it wouldn't be a problem, and it was a problem. And the penalty for him was to sit for an entire year without being able to play with his teammates. He got to practice, but he could never play games. So here I'm charged with mentoring a young man who just came halfway across the world to play basketball, to try and fulfill his dream to play basketball for an American university, American college, and then go on to play professionally. And all of a sudden, he's halfway across the world with no real support system. He's just learning these new guys, these new players and coaches, and he hears that he's got to practice all year and he can't play. I didn't know how I would have responded. And I just tried to meet with him often and hear him out and just listen to him. And it was during those meetings in my office and meetings and lunches that we had that he revealed himself to me about just what an incredible person, what an old soul, what a mature individual I was dealing with. Well, how did that hard work pay off? He redoubled his efforts. He focused himself. He dedicated himself to becoming a better basketball player during practice. That's all he could do. How'd that turn out for him? Well, I'm not sure if this has ever happened in history before, but DC reminded me the other day that after that year, when Mitch was finally eligible to play, he was the preseason RMAC Player of the Year, and no one had ever seen him play for men's basketball. I mean, that's pretty incredible. It just goes to show people were noticing even if they didn't have an opportunity to see him. The word was out. The rest is history. I talked to J-Mo, another Hall of Famer, Jonathan Morse, who you heard from in the video, and we talked. I said, Jonathan, what about from the perspective of teammate? He said, Joe, he said, nobody could stop him when he was on the scout team. It was a pain in the ass. He said, when he finally finished that year and he was going to play with us, I don't know what I was happier about, having him on the team and being able to play as his teammate, or being just relieved that I didn't have to try and stop him in the scout team going forward. It says a lot about Mitch. It says a lot about his drive. He was a member of the National Championship runner-up team, National Player of the Year, Academic All-American honors, RMAC honors every year. As I got to know Mitch, all of that paled in comparison to just the way he conducted himself, the way he led quietly his teammates. We talked a lot. We were very close, and I shared triumphs with him, and I shared challenges with him. He was just a young man growing up. It makes me emotional. I can tell you that in every decision, in every situation I saw him confronted with, like that year off, like him struggling at times for one reason or another, like the joy of meeting his future wife and the challenges of knowing that he was going to be moving back to Australia to play, and just how difficult that might be. All of these activities, he had decisions to make, and he made every one with integrity. He's quite a person. So he's not only one hell of a basketball player, he's still playing. He's got a lot left in the tank. He reached his dream of playing professionally. He's played for the past several years. I'm here to tell you that the person who we're inducting tonight, the husband and father, son, brother, and friend, that person is even more impressive than the athlete we're honoring. And he is a superb athlete. Forgive me for being emotional. It's my honor to introduce to you the newest member of the Metro State Athletics Hall of Fame, my friend, Mitch McCarron.
Thank you, Paul. Take your picture.
Thank you to Joe Q. I was doing fine, and then Joe Q started getting emotional, so now I'm a bit shaky. I'm not going to talk for very long because Coach Clark's speech was about a fifth of what I got on the daily, so that was really nothing. I'll get straight to the thank yous though. If I miss someone, again, I guess this being a basketball night, we're going to repeat a lot of the same names, and I don't want to expand on it too much just because of time, but I'm grateful to everybody that helped me get to the point where I am in my career and my time at Metro. The other inductees, Luke, the number one reason why I chose Metro, I didn't have any other scholarships offers anywhere. Nowhere in America. I'd had none. And the reason I chose Metro was because of the players that had gone there before, and specifically the Australians. So I really did look up to players like you. And I said, man, they're playing in our national team. They're playing in Olympics. They're playing in World Cups. And I'm like, it's good enough for them, it's good enough for me. So thank you for paving the way in that. To the women's basketball team, it's funny how Coach Clark mentioned how you guys were having fun when I first got. I'm sure as an athletic director, Coach Clark, I don't talk about myself much at all, but I don't know how much film he's really seen on me. Again, you're taking a risk on me, and an athletic director, you're also taking a risk on me. To my friends back home, I've got a couple really close ones, and I'll touch on a couple of them a little bit later, but Jimmy Raps in particular, I love you. To my teammates, it's funny because when people talk about what do you remember most about your time at Metro and your basketball, it's really not the individual stuff, and I know that's very cliche to say, but I don't really think about shots we made and plays and highlights and all of that. You remember the moments with your team, and Luke kind of talked about it, like climbing up mountains and stuff that I never did. Going on hiking trips the night before and having forced conversations about stuff I don't want to talk about and Coach Clark's making us talk about. Doing things as a team, running, conditioning every Wednesday morning. Those are the things that you dread at times, but then you look back and you're like, man, I'm so glad that we were made to do that. It's the moments with the boys that make everything special, and that's what you remember. So thank you to all of my teammates. I know Jamo's in the house tonight, so thank you. The assistant coaches and the work that they have done, and the extra staff as well, again, helped make me the player that I am today. So I wouldn't be here without them. To my family back home, I grew up, and Australia's a little bit different in how it works, and things have changing, but back then, like, I had games or training every single day of the week, and there was like 6 different teams you had to play on, because if you didn't play on the first one, you don't qualify to play on the 4th and the 5th and the 6th. Terrible system, but we eventually got to the point where it's like, I've got a game on the Sunshine Coast at 7 o'clock the night before, that's an hour south of my house, and then the next morning at 8 o'clock, 2 hours north, is state camp at 8 a.m. I'm asking my parents to get me from A to B. I can't drive. I have 2 siblings. They're getting them to their commitments as well. So without you guys, I wouldn't be here. So thank you to both of my parents. To my lovely wife, Abby. To my 2 kids as well, Oslo and Cora. My daughter is just like my wife. We're quickly finding out. She's incredibly tough. She's incredibly resilient. A quick story about Abby, potential Hall of Fame candidate. Story about my wife. So we had a really hard practice, and like I said, we used to run a lot on Wednesdays, and in the preseason. And I get back one day, and it's at night or whatever, and Abby's in the midst of her soccer season. She's killing it for Metro as well. And we get back, and I'm tired. I'm looking exhausted. And she goes, "Oh, do you have a really hard day?" And I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Yeah, I'm pretty exhausted." And she was like, yeah. And she's like, "Well, I ran 10 miles today, so get over it, rub my legs." No sympathy from her, but she's just that competitor. And I love you so much. Thank you for doing what you do. You're an incredible mother and an incredible woman, so thank you. Quick thanks to Abby's family who's here tonight. Again, my family couldn't make it. It's a long way from Australia, so thank you. And my very last thank you is to Coach Clark. Again, you took a chance on me that no one else was willing to do. And I know, again, it's quite cliche to say I didn't have any other offers. Like, that's a fact. I had 0 offers. It's June 2011, I have 0 offers. And I'm sitting there in July in Denver. So thank you. It's funny when people ask me to tell what Coach Clark was like and tell his stories, it's hard. And a lot of them are long, but I'll tell a quick one, maybe 2. Nick Kay. Incredible player. We're finishing practice, and there's probably about 20 minutes left. It's funny how Luke told that story, because I think we all get to that point where we're like, oh man, how long left? And there's like 20 minutes left, we think, and he's trying to do the right thing. I think we were seniors, and he leans over to our assistant coach, and he grabs him, and he goes, "Hey, Wall, what's the time?" Now, his intent is saying, how much left, because we've got to finish strong, otherwise we'll come back tonight. But that's not obviously how it's taken. Wall goes back to Clark and snitches, and that goes and tells him that Nick was asking for the time. So the next morning, Coach Clark comes strutting in, and we start running. We're messing up drills or whatever, and then on like the 3rd one, he goes, "Oh, and Nick, by the way, it's 7:04. Then another time where there was just relentless intensity, and it's what made us so good. It was an everyday thing. We got coached every day, as people have talked about, and I love hearing about the history of this program and things that were continued on, obviously, from Coach Dunlap to Coach Clark, and it's why we've produced so many good players from so many different backgrounds, and it's awesome. I remember we always talk about the rope that you get. You have to earn it. You don't come to this program and just get given rope. You have to earn that respect. And I remember one night we had an average weekend. We won both games. It was my junior year, and we won both games, but that was never really enough. We didn't play very well. And I get a text on the Sunday night, and I'm lying in bed, and it's to BJ and I, Brandon Jefferson. And it's a text about, like, guys, like, it's going to be a war tomorrow, just letting you know. Get the guys right. Make sure they're ready to go. Need this one. The group needs this. And I'm like, man, like, I'm lying in bed looking at the ceiling like I did every Tuesday night before Wednesday, and I'm like, how much do I want to be here? Like, it's just one of those feelings. Like, and then I'm like, no, you know what? This is awesome. Like, I've got some rope here. Like, I'm a junior. I'm not, BJ's the senior. Like, got some trust. He's letting me know it's going to be a hard day. That was a pretty good feeling. Usually it was all surprise attacks. And then Brandon sends a few lines back, and I didn't really want to try and sound, like I was talking out of my ass. So I just text back, sounds good, which was a mistake. The next morning, we get up, whatever time it was, 4:45, in the bus. We go to practice. We're on the line. Assistant coaches knew it was up. We're on the line, and coach walks in. He goes, Taylor, put 10 seconds on the clock. We all knew that meant up and back. So we were going to be running. And here I am thinking, like, someone else in the team is running and I'm in the know. I got to make sure I pull them through. And after like the third or fourth run, Coach Clark goes, hey, Mitch, don't ever text me sounds good. Everyone on the baseline looks at me like, dude, like, you're meant to be a leader. And I just felt the rope slipping out of my hands. But that's how it was. You had to grind, always brought us back down to earth, and I thank you for everything you've done for me on and off the floor. So thank you. I love you. A quick little thing before I get off the stage. I've played with some incredible players, and some of them have already been recognized. Nick Kay has had an incredible career. I was lucky enough to play with him all 4 years at Metro State, and he is every bit of the player that I was, so I really hope one day he gets to stand here. Thank you.